So those of you who watched my last video will know that I'm currently building up to doing a 25-mile hike in the Lake District for charity. And it's me and the guys from the podcast are going to be doing that in aid of the Disabled Photographer Society, the Multiple Sclerosis Society, and also Dementia UK. And I'm having to do a little bit of training for that because I'm not in the best shape. So in the weeks leading up to that walk, what I'm planning to do is a number of longish hikes, so everything over 10 miles. And I've already done a few actually. I did the walk actually, which I'm planning to do today, which is about 10 miles. I've done another one which is 12 miles with more elevation. And the thing about being here in Torridon, and it's not a downside in any way, shape or form, but it's quite hard to find flat walks. So most of my walks have got some kind of elevation in them. So I'm hoping that's actually going to help a little bit with my training. But today I had originally thought I would do a slightly higher walk, but as you can probably see from the mountains behind me, we've got quite a low cloud level. So I thought I'd try and keep it a little bit lower today. So I'm just doing this circular walk again, but it's a beautiful walk. And I think total elevation is only about 500 meters or so. So I'll probably just be kissing the bottom of that cloud. But it's not forecast to rain too much, so I'm hoping it'll be a dry one. And yeah, I'm looking forward to today. Although it's a walk which I've done before, obviously I know it. I think conditions today should be quite nice. And different to my normal videos, I'm not intending there to be much photography on this walk. So I don't have my camera with me, but I do have a camera with me, which is a little bit different to the setup that I would normally use. And some of you may be aware that I've been starting to dabble in a little bit of film photography. So I do actually have my Olympus OM-1 35mm camera loaded up with a roll of 24 exposure HP5. So we'll see whether I take any shots. The reason I thought I'd take that camera with me today is because we're not going to be getting any kind of big vistas, I don't think. I don't think the conditions are quite right for that. But also I found I've taken it out before, this camera with the HP5, and it doesn't really work well for those big landscape shots. At least I didn't think it did anyway. So what I thought I would do instead is try and find subjects with a stronger photographic subject in the foreground. There are a couple of photos which I took when I tested it out before. The first was probably the one which worked the best, was one with a tree in the foreground over in Torridon, and it inspired me to keep going and have another go with the camera. But yeah, I think in order to make that film stock work, I think you do need quite a strong kind of close subject to take an image of. So I'm going to be keeping an eye out for those sorts of photographs on my walk today. And this walk actually takes you up to a little bit of woodland and a small waterfall called Isendorfer. And there's a little boffy there as well. And I thought actually there might be the opportunity for some nice black and white shots up there, especially if this mist that we've got here, or cloud, if that's down low enough, then there should be some nice images to be had there. So I bought the camera. I can't guarantee that I'm going to get it out the bag on this trip, but we'll see anyway how we get on. One of my favourite parts of this walk is the start. So it starts off with this lovely walk through this pine forest with this beautiful river, the Burn, just running down there, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I think I did a video from here with Hannah in the winter when this place was buried in snow, and it was just magical. It's a magical little spot, this. And this walk kind of starts here, goes through this woodland, and then it's got a little bit of ascent. And this is actually the start of a walk to a couple of amazing Munros actually, Benley of Moor and Scorua. I've only done one of those actually. I've done Benley of Moor, and you can do both of them in the same circuit if you're feeling fit, which I haven't ever actually got to that stage of feeling fit before, so I haven't done that. But yeah, it's Benley of Moor I can speak for. Is a absolutely gorgeous walk. It's a big long ridge with some stunning views out towards Torridon. Yeah, so I'll hopefully take you guys on that walk at some point. Maybe I'll do it again this year. But yeah, you can see this is just an absolutely stunning location here. So the bad news is that today's the first day of the year that I've noticed midges, which is always the bit of a year that I dread. So basically, I mean, they come in waves, but basically we'll probably have a difficult month or so of midges now, and then again we'll normally have a second batch of them later on in the summer. But it's one of the reasons why I'm actually more of a fan of winter here in the Highlands, because in summer, although the weather gets a little bit better, the midges do make life a little bit unbearable at times. And the worst news is that I didn't bring any midge repellent with me today. Fatal rookie mistake. But hopefully they won't be so bad as I get a little bit higher. They're not as bad here as they were when I started off the walk. But what I thought I would do is just introduce you to my camera, because I've not used this at all yet in any of my YouTube videos. So this is actually my mother's old Olympus OM-1 camera. So it's a 35mm film camera, and it's got the Zuiko 50mm 1.8 lens on there, which is a bit of a classic actually. And my mother actually used to do a little bit of landscape photography back in the 90s, and I think it was my uncle that gave her this camera because he had it lying around. My uncle actually was a professional photographer, and one of my lasting regrets is that my uncle actually lent my mother a Hasselblad X-Pan, which she had kicking about in her office for years. And of course at the time I was a teenager, I wasn't into photography in any way, shape or form, and I had no idea what this thing was, and I never used it. I don't think I ever even touched it, but it was kicking about in a box in the office, and she gave it back to my uncle after a while because she wasn't using it either. And obviously now I'm into landscape photography. What I wouldn't do to have my hands on that X-Pan. So anyway, but he did give my mother this Olympus OM-1, and my mother doesn't do photography anymore, so she gave it to me, and it's a little bit battered. It works pretty well. The light meter doesn't work in it, so when I've used it in the past, what I've done is just used my DSLR as a light meter, and on this trip, because this is the only camera I've got, I'm actually just going to be using my phone as a light meter, so we'll see whether it actually works or not. But I'm looking forward to giving it a go. I've taken it out once so far with a roll of Ilford HP5, which is black and white film. It's kind of a really good standard film, and it's not too expensive, so I thought it would be a good one to start off with a little bit of experimentation. And I took a couple of shots with it before, which at least demonstrated that the camera works. So I thought I'd give it its second run on today's walk, and we'll see if I can find anything that's worth photographing with it. Well, I've managed to work up a little bit of a sweat getting up there, but that's most of the ascent done now. And as you can see, I'm now just kind of in the bottom of the cloud layer now, so not much in the way of views up here today, I don't think, which is a bit of a shame really, because it'd be nice to show you guys this. I have shot videos from here before, but not at this time of year. In fact, I think it was mainly in the snow that I've been up here in videos before. But the place we're heading up to is one of my favourite locations up here. It's this gorgeous glen with beautiful mountains on three sides, and I suspect, looking up there ahead where we're going, looks like we're not going to get any of those views today. But never mind, still just great to be out and enjoying this walk. And actually coming on these walks, the last two walks which I've done, and this kind of training as it were for our charity walk, I haven't taken the camera with me. It's just been purely just walking, and I've really enjoyed it. And I think previously I've kind of always been in a little bit of a trap where I felt if I'm going out and just take the camera with me, I need to do photography. If I can, I need to shoot YouTube videos, and it all becomes this big thing which can sometimes just get in the way of just going out and enjoying the place. So very much my focus now is to try and just get out as much as I can, as time allows, to enjoy the landscapes around here. And I think, as many of you know, my photography has a habit of tailing off a little bit in the summer, as I'm not a big fan of the kind of green and blue images that you get of the mountains in the summer. So I'll come and do the hikes, but usually won't photograph them, and usually won't video them either. So this year my plan is to do, I always say this, I always have these plans which I announce on the videos and then never end up doing, so we'll see whether this works out or not. But my plan this year, because I've really just been enjoying doing these walks, is just to get out and do more hiking, where the focus is more on the hike rather than the photography. And I might take the cameras with me, but it might be that I put some videos out that are more focused on hiking than photography. Maybe that will work better. We shall see. Or it may just be that I do what I usually do and leave it another 4 months before I post anything on the channel. Who knows? Anyway, right, coming to the top now of the first rise, and that's the hardest climb. It's not a difficult climb, but it's the hardest climb. Certainly enough to make me sweat and puff a little bit, and we'll soon be coming to the top of the pass. We're on a steady decline now, steady slope down to where the waterfall is, and there's a small bothy down there as well, which is, I think it's called the Tea House. And it's quite a famous little bothy, and it's famous because it's got a guest book in it apparently, which was signed by Michelle Pfeiffer and Robert De Niro when they were up here filming Stardust, the film, because a lot of that film was shot around this area. And we'll see. Normally when I go past it, I'm always a bit worried that there's someone in there. Last time I came past the bothy, it looked like there was someone actually in there, so I didn't want to open it up and go and have a look inside because I didn't want to disturb them. But we'll see whether it's occupied on this occasion. And if it's not, we can go and check it out. So some of you may be wondering what the point of me faffing about with this old outdated piece of equipment from the 1970s is, especially when, you know, for my digital setup I've got thousands of pounds worth of basically top of the range photography equipment that I know can get absolutely stunning results. And why would I bother using this, which is an old battered piece of equipment which I could probably buy at a second-hand store relatively cheaply, And I think for me it's something which I've been thinking about for a while. So I did actually, when I was about 18, I did actually start off with a 35mm film camera, which was a Nikon F40, I think it is. I've got it kicking about somewhere still, which was given to me actually by my uncle, who was a photographer. So it's not like I'm completely green to film photography, because I did actually used to do quite a bit, but gave it up because of the impracticalities of it. And of course those impracticalities are still an issue with film photography. But for me, there's something I've been thinking about which is just, there's something which appeals about that analog process. The fact that this camera doesn't have any batteries, it's entirely mechanical, and I'd actually rather use this than my Nikon F40, because it's basically just a lens and levers and cogs, and there's something just nice and organic about that process, I think. And I know that the photos that I'll get won't be they won't be anything like the sorts of photos which I take with my digital equipment, but that's not really the point. For me, it's just about a little bit of fun and enjoying my photography. I'm not expecting to get award-winning shots with this camera. I'm not really expecting anyone who watches this channel to actually think very much of the sorts of shots which I get with this camera, but we'll see. Let me know in the comments below if any of them turn out okay. For me, it's just a bit of fun. It's something which I like the idea of, is a little bit of organic creativity, a bit like woodwork or that sort of thing. There's something organic about the process of analog photography which I think really appeals to me. So that's what it is. That's what has driven me to give this a go, and I've been meaning to give it more of a go for a while. And my plan is to try it out. I'm getting absolutely covered in midges here. They're back again. My plan is to try it out a few times, see how I get on with it, and if it's something which I enjoy, then it might be something which I pursue a little bit more. I'm quite intrigued by the idea of maybe purchasing a medium format camera at some stage and working on a medium format project here in Torridon. So we'll see how it pans out. It might die a death if I get disenchanted with it quickly, but at the moment it's something which I'm really enjoying doing, and that is that's the reason we do photography after all. It's for enjoyment. So I'm just on the downward approach now towards Isendorka, which is the waterfall, which effectively marks the halfway point of the walk. And as I head down there, we come through this area of, these are old Caledonian pine trees, and they're beautiful, absolutely stunning. And what I like about this particular shot is we've got some dead trees there which are providing a nice little bit of contrast. And one of the things I found when I did my experiment with the HP5 film is you really need some contrast in the scene to actually make the images work. So I'm hoping that I might have one or two images from these trees. We've got this contrast with the dead trees against the live trees behind. I'm hoping some of those will come out okay in that black and white film. This is a lovely part of this walk actually. It's just heading down towards the bothy. I don't know if it'll come out on the camera, but we can just see the little bothy down there with the green roof. And it's a tiny little bothy. It's not really designed for staying the night in. Most of the bothies are set up so that you can use them to stay overnight if you're out camping. This one's really more of a shelter to get out of the weather if you need it. But it's just such a beautiful little glen, this place. Absolutely gorgeous, lovely trees. And then down towards the bothy there's the waterfall itself, which I expect I'll take a photo of. I'm not expecting it to be a great photo, but I'll take a photo of it whilst I'm here. But, yeah, absolutely beautiful little walk down here. So I'm very excited by this old dead tree. Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. And this is the sort of thing which I think would work really, really well in black and white. So I'm definitely going to have to take a few shots. There's a nice bit here where the trunk is just kind of cracked and there's some lovely textures going on there. And then there's another little bit here where you've got this kind of snaky bent branch. So it's definitely some potential here for some photographs. So I just stopped off at the bothy, which is a lovely little spot. A perfect place for some lunch as well. So nice little stop, and it's about halfway round my walk now. The rest of this half of this walk, though, to be honest, is it's a little bit less interesting. It is a nice walk, but there's a big long track that basically heads up that hill there, and then takes us back round to where we started. So probably I'm not expecting to take many more photos. Apart from anything else, I've actually only got a couple more exposures left on my film, so if I do take any more photos, I will stick them up at the end of this video. But I'm probably going to end this video here before it turns into too much of a long marathon session. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and also just wanted to say a big thank you again to all of those of you who have already contributed to our fundraising for this 25-mile walk which we're doing in July. We've actually, last time I checked, we were just about to hit £1,500, which is absolutely amazing. It's kind of blown us away, to be honest. We hadn't expected that much of a response from you all. So yeah, just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone who has contributed to that. It's really going to give us the impetus that we need to get round that walk. And if you haven't donated but would like to, I will leave a link in the description below. But yeah, it's been a great walk. It's been really nice actually to get out with the Olympus again as well. Like I said earlier, I think yeah, I'm not sort of expecting to be blown away by the images that come out of it. It's more just fun. It's about doing photography purely for the enjoyment of photography, and that's why I've decided to have a little bit of a dabble with shooting film again, because it's really just about the process, and get away from the whole kind of digital side of things. There's too much digital stuff in our lives these days. So I think I'm finding it quite refreshing actually to be working with a mechanical camera and creating images just with that combination of light and chemicals, and whether or not they're the best images in the world actually doesn't matter to me that much. So when I take that analog camera out, I'm doing it just purely for the fun of taking pictures. I'm not thinking of portfolio shots, and hopefully one or two of those images will make it into this video. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.